Bas, we've heard about business centres and now you've come up with this concept, smart work centres. Exactly what is it and what's involved?
First of all, a smart work center is located close to a residential area, so it's actually very easy for people to get there either on a bicycle or just on their feet, taking out kilometers by car. But quite importantly, it brings together a number of services that help to optimize a day in the life of a worker. So some of those things are technology related. You want to have real high-end connectivity. You may want to have telepresence type of facilities, which is actually featured in smart work centers. But there are also other aspects of services that you may want to include in a smart work centers, including child daycare. I mean, for myself, I've got a 2-year-old boy. If I bring him from my home, I get into a car, I'm in a traffic jam for 20 minutes, and then I've got to get into a traffic jam to get to my work, which doesn't make sense.
Who's involved in the Smart Work Centre initiative then? Who are your partners in this?
What is important is that you can't do these things alone. So obviously we made an investment and we provide a lot of support, know-how, technology in order to get this going. But our prime partner in all of this has been the City of Amsterdam and the City of Almere.
What kind of business model are you using for Smart Work Centres then?
If you ask a question about a business model, there are two. There is the business model for the employers. Employers end up paying a whole lot of money for the resources, their fixed workstations for their employees. A typical workstation, for instance, in Amsterdam with a large employer may cost up to 15,000 euros per year per employee. Now, if you bring that down by having substantially cheaper but very well equipped, well serviced e-workstations, large employers tend to optimize their resources on discount a huge deal. So that's one business model. The other part of the business model is in fact the Smart Work Center itself. This is not a subsidy-driven entity. Yes, the cities are involved in getting this to go, it's part of their vision, but it's not a subsidy-driven initiative. It's a business by itself, like a business center in that sense, with the difference being that you do not sell square meters, but you sell e-workstations with a good number of services associated with it.
So you're setting up the Smart Work Centre project here in Amsterdam. How do you know whether it's going to work in places like Bangalore or in other countries where it might be even more needed?
Well, it's actually a very good question, and it's part of our commitment under the Clinton Global Initiative that we would create pilots that do not only work in the partner cities, but that could in fact be replicated and scale around the world, especially in those large growing urban areas like Shanghai, like New Delhi, etc. First of all, the business model itself is full of flexible variables which you can change according to the local circumstances. So we're presently conducting research with places like Lebanon, Costa Rica, India to see whether we could actually replicate the model in those countries. As long as there is a business model in place, as long as there is a rudimentary infrastructure that helps to provide the kind of connectivity that you need to create a good work environment, it can be replicated, and this is what we'll hope to be doing over the next number of years.
Finally, how are you going to manage the energy consumption in these smart work centres if you're putting them up around the country?
First of all, it's still a theoretical question. What we try to do with the pilot smart work centers and those that are being scaled right now is really focus on the wider value proposal that you have for larger employers in terms of the e-workstations themselves. But obviously, as you're creating those new locations or are renovating them, this is an ideal opportunity to look into the possibility of having a far more energy efficient management to those particular workspaces. Further, as you have a far more optimal use of space because those are e-workstations being used by literally hundreds of employers, and you don't have that many empty workspaces at the end of the week, if you will, the amount of energy per workspace becomes more efficient. So there is another element. And then finally, beyond the energy, but within the green demand of a workspace of today or tomorrow, we have already looked at the present smart work center. What can we do? Can we include, for instance, cradle-to-cradle materials into the desk, the chairs, etc. that go into there? So the entire smart work center is equipped with cradle-to-cradle materials insofar we could get them. And this is a first step into creating a wider sustainable value proposal, if you will, for people to work in.
Many thanks indeed for your time.
You're welcome.